What's up everyone, I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech and these are the best features of the Samsung J6 along with some important tips and tricks. You can find most of these features along with some tips and tricks in other Samsung phones too, like the J2, J4, J7, J8 and many more. Now with that said, I'll be first covering the best features, then I'll be showing you tips and tricks. So if you're bored anywhere, just skip ahead, but make sure you check out the tips and tricks section. Now with all that said, the first best feature about this phone is definitely its display. This phone has a 5.6-inch Super AMOLED display with a HD+ resolution in the new 18.5:9 aspect ratio. When compared to the previous J series phones, this phone has a bigger screen and smaller body with smaller bezels at the top and bottom. Now the next best thing about this phone would definitely be its cameras. This phone has a 13-megapixel rear camera with f1.9 aperture and an 8-megapixel front-facing camera with f1.9 aperture. These are by no means best cameras in the price segment, but they are pretty good. Next, this phone has a dedicated SD card slot. Unlike many other phones, this phone has two SIM trays along with a dedicated SD card slot. So that's a unique thing. And with the dedicated SD card slot, you never have to worry about storage on this phone. Next, this phone supports native video calling. Now this is definitely not a huge deal, but this phone definitely offers you option to make and receive video calls directly from the stock phone dialer. There are still many phones out there which simply doesn't support this feature, while the Samsung does. Next, this phone even has face unlock feature. Now this is how you set it up. This phone also has a fingerprint scanner and it is pretty fast, and compared to that, face unlock is kinda slow and not very reliable. In good lighting conditions, it takes like a second or two, and in bad lighting conditions or low lighting conditions, it takes like few seconds. So on the whole, it's not very reliable and I would suggest you to use a fingerprint scanner instead. Now the next best feature on this phone is the secure folder. Now this feature has a simple name called Secure Folder, but offers you a lot of things. For starters, you can hide files in it, you can create your secure notes, you can even drag and drop applications into this folder and use them as dual apps. And if you have any applications where security is a priority, let's say like net banking applications, so you can put all those applications in this secure folder and make them more secure. It is basically like a secure box inside your phone where you can hide files and keep applications safe. Now the next best feature on this phone would be the Bixby Vision. Now once you open the camera application and click the button on the left corner, it will open Samsung Mall and then open the camera application. Then you simply point at an object and take a picture. Now this phone or the Bixby Vision will scan the image and try to find that product for you. It is not very accurate, but it does work sometimes. Next, this phone has Dolby Atmos sound enhancement. You can enable it using the toggle, or you can simply go to the sound settings and enable it manually. You have different profiles like movie, music, voice. Once you select a profile, it will change the audio for a better experience. You also have equalizer settings just below the Dolby Atmos settings. If you're an audiophile and want to change these equalizer settings, you can come here. Next, this phone even has themes. Now there are hundreds of themes to choose from, both paid and free, and I personally like this high contrast theme. It has a complete black theme and looks really good on an AMOLED display. If you have this phone, definitely give this theme a try. Now the next best feature on this phone are stickers. To use this feature, open the camera application, select the front facing camera, swipe and select stickers. Now you get all these different stickers to choose from. Once you select any one of these, you will see an overlay of these stickers on your face, and this is how they look. Next we have a feature called Selfie Focus, which is nothing but portrait selfies where the subject or the person in the frame is visible, where the background is completely blurred out. Edge detection isn't perfect, but it does a pretty good job. Next we have Wide Selfie. Now this phone comes with a wide angle lens for the front facing camera, and it does take some wide angle selfies, but if you want to take much wider selfies, you can use this feature. It is just like the panorama mode for the front facing camera. It takes 3 pictures in different angles and stitches them to give you a bigger wide angle picture. Next we have auto call recording. To enable this feature, open the phone dialer, then go to settings and then select record calls. From here you can record all calls or specific calls and even enable to show notification once the call recording has been done. Next we have Samsung Pay Mini, which is the mini version or the stripped down version of the Samsung Pay that you can find in Samsung flagships like the Samsung S8, S9 Plus and so on. It is more like a small application that links with your MobiKwik, Paytm, FreeCharge accounts along with your bank accounts and helps you make some payments. I wouldn't recommend you using this app, but you can check out the offers and the banners on the homepage for some cashback offers. Next we have blue light filter. Now just like the name suggests, Once you enable this feature, it puts a warm tint on the screen and filters blue light, which is supposed to help you sleep better at night. We can also change the intensity of the filter using the slider, and we can also schedule it to turn on and turn off automatically at a specific time. Next, we have the option to change font. Usually most Android phones doesn't give you the option to change font, while this phone does. Now you can choose any one of these fonts, or if you're not satisfied, download more from the online library. Next we have Easy Mode. Now if this phone is going to be used by some elderly people, then you can enable Easy Mode for them. Once you enable this feature, everything on your phone will be enlarged. Your home launcher will change, all the icons will become bigger, font size will increase, and it just makes the phone more readable for elder people. Next we have Game Launcher. Now once you enable this feature, it'll create a folder called Game Launcher on your home screen and keeps all the games in that folder. Now from this interface, you can change your performance mode. You can set it to normal performance or battery saver. Every time you play a game, your phone will automatically switch to that power profile. Besides that, we can also mute games. Now that's not all. Once you open a game, you can find an extra button on the navigation bar. Once you click it, you get additional options to take a screenshot, to record the screen, lock the navigation bar, and even lock the screen without turning it off. On the whole, it gives you a lot of cool features, especially while gaming. Next, we have a feature called One-Handed Mode. Now once you enable this feature and swipe up from the bottom left corner or right corner, screen size will shrink and your phone will become much more usable with a single hand. Once you are in this mode, you can click this small button to switch the screen left side or right side. Now if you don't like this gesture, you can select the second option and click the home button 3 times to use the phone in one-handed mode. Next we have a fingerprint gesture to pull down the notification bar. Once you enable this feature, swipe down on the fingerprint scanner to pull down the notification bar and swipe it up to send it back. This is really a very handy feature. Next we have multi-window shortcut. Now usually on all phones you can simply press and hold the recent apps button to open split screen mode. On this phone, we need to enable this particular toggle to use that feature. Simply enable it and press and hold the recent apps button to open the current application in split screen mode in the top window. After that, you can select the secondary application. Once you open 2 applications in the split screen mode, you can click at the button at the center for extra options. You can click the first button to save the profile, second button to resize the window, third button to swap the first and second application, fourth button to open the current application in a pop-up window, which I'll talk more about in a second. And finally, you can click the last button to close the current application. Next, we have a feature called Popup View, which is very unique to Samsung phones. Once you enable this feature, you can simply swipe down from the top left or top right corner and the current application will open in a floating window. I really never had any use for this particular feature, but it might come in handy for some people. Now there are 2 options on the top. The leftmost option is to minimize that application and the second one is to maximize the application. Next we have palm swipe to capture. Now before I show you what this feature does, let me show you how to take a normal screenshot. For that, simply press the volume down and power buttons both at the same time. Once you do that, your phone will take a screenshot. Now for some reason if you're not able to do that or want an easy way, you can enable this feature called palm swipe to capture. Once you enable this feature, you can simply swipe the display of your phone with your palm to take a screenshot. And this is how you need to do it. Sometimes it doesn't work, but most of the time, it works without any problems. Next we have Smart Alert. Once you enable this feature, every time you pick up your phone will vibrate if you have a missed call or a message. Next we have Easy Mute. Once you enable this feature, you can mute incoming calls and alarms by placing your hand over your phone or by turning your phone face down. Next we have Swipe to Call or Send Message. In the phone dialer, you can simply swipe left or right on the contact to make a call or send a message. It's not a great feature, but a very nice shortcut. Next we have Dual Messenger, which is like dual apps for Samsung. Using this feature, you can have 2 Snapchat accounts, 2 Facebook accounts, or even 2 WhatsApp accounts on the same phone. Sadly, we can't use this feature for all the applications. Like if you want 2 Paytm accounts on the same phone, we can't do it with this feature. If you really want to do that, you can use the secure folder feature which I mentioned at the start. Now the final and probably the best feature is the maximum power saving mode. On previous Samsung phones, it was called as ultra power saving mode. Once you enable this mode, it will decrease the screen brightness, set speed limiter, restrict background network usage, limit the number of apps that you can use, and apply a dark theme. On the whole, it does all these things to improve the standby time of your phone. Now, even in this mode, you can still use Wi-Fi, Bluetooth mobile data, watch videos, and do all the regular stuff. If you're on a very long journey, just enable this mode and you will have a great battery life. So guys, those were the best features. Now let's look at some important tips and tricks. Now before I do anything, let me just enable the developer options. For that, go to settings, then select about phone, software information, and from here click the build number 7 times. Once you do that, developer options will be enabled. If it asks for your password, just give it. Now go back and you can find the developer options over here. So from here, scroll all the way to the bottom. Now enable this toggle. Now you have already seen the split screen mode where we can use 2 applications side by side, but all the applications are not supported. So let me just try with Instagram. Now I'll just minimize and try to open Instagram. And we'll see this error that says can't open this application in multi-window. Now to make all the apps open in the split screen mode, we need to go to developer options and enable this toggle and then restart the phone. Once you restart the phone, you will be able to use all the applications in the split screen mode. Next, I'll show you how to disable this Bixby Home in the home screen. Now in the home screen, when you go to the leftmost corner, you can find the Bixby Home. This is the Bixby Center. Now this one has a mid-range processor, so if you use a lot of features on this phone, especially features that run in the background all the time, your phone will become slow. So uninstall all the applications that you don't use and disable them if possible, like this Bixby home screen. Now to disable it, just go to your home screen. Now do a pin gesture, swipe right and disable this toggle. Now Bixby Home will be disabled. Now this is the camera application and we have a quick shortcut for the shutter button. So normally if you want to take pictures, you have to click this button over here, but you can swipe up from the shutter button and we'll get another additional shutter button and we can place it anywhere. Now we can capture pictures even by clicking this button. It's a really super handy feature. Next, if you go to settings, we have something called camera edit mode. So from here we can change the different modes. Now these are all the modes that are available for the rear camera. From here we can enable or disable them and even rearrange them. So I want the Pro mode always beside Auto mode, and I don't use the stickers for the rear camera, so I'm just going to disable it and enable continuous shot. Now if I go back, all the modes are redesigned. Now I can swipe right to go to the Pro mode and swipe left again to go to continuous shooting mode. So in that way we can change the modes for the front and rear cameras. Next we have a shortcut once again related to the shutter button. You can zoom in and zoom out very fluidly. We can also do the pin gesture, but I find this to be very simple. Now this one is the new aspect ratio. Because of that we are getting smaller bezels at the top and bottom, but all the applications do not support this aspect ratio natively, like Swiggy. So when you open apps like them, you get a message at the bottom that says tap here to go full screen. Now once you do that, this application will open in the full screen mode. Now for some reason if you're not able to see such option but you want to make an application go full screen, then go to settings, then select display, full screen apps, and from here you can make any application go full screen or make it go full screen. Next I'll show you how to display or hide the battery percentage on the status bar. Now for that go to settings, display, status bar. From here you can enable this toggle or disable it to hide or display the battery percentage. Now on my navigation bar, you can see this black dot on the left corner. So if I double tap it, navigation bar will hide automatically. So now we get a much more immersive experience. We can use the phone normally, and whenever we want the navigation bar, we can swipe from the bottom and we get the navigation keys. Now on the home screen, we can still see the navigation bar, but once we enter an application, navigation bar automatically hides. Once again, we can swipe from the bottom to bring it up. And if you don't want this feature and if you want to see the navigation bar all the time, simply double tap this button once again and the navigation bar will be visible all the time. Now if we go to settings, display and navigation bar settings. Now from here we can enable this button and we can even change the color of the navigation bar. From here we can change the layout. So if you want back button over here, you can do this and the buttons are swapped. I like to go with this layout. Now finally, I'll show you how to change the default home launcher, browser or messaging app on this phone. For that, go to apps and then select this button over here. Now click default apps. Now from here you can change your default browser, calling app, messaging app, home screen and so on. Now if we go to browser, we have two browsers. I can set Google Chrome as the default browser. So guys, those were the best features and important tips and tricks for your Samsung J6, and you will be able to find most of these features in other Samsung phones like the Samsung J4 and maybe even the Samsung J2. So check them out and let me know if I missed out on anything important. By the way guys, if you're planning to buy this phone, use the link in the description. It really helps the channel. If you want us to make any specific video on this phone or any other phone out there, tweet out to us with the hashtag AskGreedyTech on Twitter and I'll try to make it as soon as possible. I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech signing off. Have a nice day.